Open your banking app right now. Look at the checking account balance. Now, open a new tab and look at the financial headlines. The S&P 500 is shattering all-time records. The GDP is expanding. Unemployment is hovering near historic lows. By every single traditional metric taught in college economics, the American economy is booming. So why does it feel like you are running on a treadmill that is slowly tilting upward, while the people at the top are riding a private escalator to the stars? You are not crazy. You are not bad with money, and you are definitely not alone. You are simply living through the greatest, most ruthless economic divergence in modern history. Economists have a name for it, but the mainstream media rarely explains what it actually means for your survival, your career, and your family's future. It is called the K-shaped economy. Imagine the letter K. The top line is shooting upward at a 45-degree angle, carrying asset owners, tech insiders, and the ultra-wealthy into a stratosphere of generational, untouchable wealth. The bottom line is pointing sharply downward, dragging wage earners, renters, and the middle class into a permanent, inescapable cycle of debt and affordability anxiety. But here is the terrifying part. This divide is no longer just about who owns real estate and who rents. Right now, a massive new accelerant is pouring gasoline on this divide. The artificial intelligence boom is not just changing technology. It is fundamentally rewiring the physics of who gets rich and who gets left behind in the 21st century. If you are relying solely on a W-2 salary and a traditional savings account to build wealth, you are standing on the wrong side of the K, and the trapdoor is about to open. But here is the secret that the financial elite do not advertise. Crossing the divide is not based on how hard you work. It is based on the financial vehicles you own and the asymmetric leverage you apply. In the next 22 minutes, I am going to show you the exact data-backed mathematics of the K-shaped economy. We are going to expose the hidden economic theories that are quietly erasing the middle class, how the AI revolution is accelerating the trap, and most importantly, I am going to hand you the exact step-by-step playbook to cross the divide and position yourself on the top leg of the K before the window closes forever. My name is Guru, and today we are breaking the matrix. To understand why you feel completely broke in a supposedly booming economy, we first have to destroy the biggest, most comforting lie in modern finance, the myth of the average American. For decades, politicians, central bankers, and news anchors have used the word average to keep the masses calm. They talk about average inflation, average wage growth, and average market returns. But when you look at the raw, unfiltered data from the Federal Reserve and the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the average is dead. Let me give you a thought experiment to illustrate this. If you put one man in a freezing 30-degree ice bath, and you put another man in a boiling 110-degree hot tub, the average temperature between the two of them is a perfectly comfortable 70 degrees. But neither man is comfortable. One is freezing to death, and the other is being boiled alive. That is the exact state of the American economy right now. According to the latest data from the Federal Reserve's distributional financial accounts, the top 1% of American households now hold more wealth than the entire middle class combined. Let that sink in for a second. The middle class, the historical engine of the American dream, the backbone of the 20th century economy, has been mathematically eclipsed by a fraction of the population. And this is not just about eccentric billionaires hoarding physical cash in underground vaults. This is about the fundamental difference between asset appreciation and wage stagnation. Let us look at the top leg of the K. The people on the top line are not necessarily working harder than you. In fact, data consistently shows that many ultra-high net worth individuals work fewer hours than the average dual-income household. But they own assets. They own equities, commercial real estate, private businesses, and intellectual property. When the government prints money or when central banks manipulate interest rates, those assets inflate in value. Over the last 4 years, while the cost of groceries and gas dominated the evening news, the S&P 500 and the National Housing Index quietly transferred trillions of dollars in net worth to those who already owned the underlying assets. They are playing a game where the scoreboard is directly tied to the expansion of the money supply.
Now, look at the bottom leg of the K. This is where the vast majority of hardworking, rule-following Americans are trapped. You are playing a completely different game. Your scoreboard is tied to your hourly wage or your annual salary. And here is the brutal, unvarnished truth about wages in a fiat currency system. Wages are a depreciating asset. Even when your nominal wage goes up on paper, hidden taxes, insurance premiums, and the explosive cost of fixed necessities quietly eat the difference. This brings us to a concept called Baumol's cost disease. While technology makes physical goods like televisions and clothing cheaper over time, the cost of labor-intensive services like healthcare, education, and childcare skyrockets. Investopedia's comprehensive economic analysis heading into 2025 confirmed what we all feel in our bones. Affordability is the #1 crisis in America.
They coined the term vibe session. The macroeconomic data says we are in a recovery, but the microeconomic reality for the bottom leg of the K is a silent, grinding depression. You are making more dollars, but those dollars buy significantly less freedom. But why is this divide accelerating so violently right now? Why does it feel like the gap between the top leg and the bottom leg is widening faster than at any point since the Gilded Age of the 1890s? The answer lies in a massive, invisible wealth transfer that is happening right under our noses, driven by the newest technological revolution, artificial intelligence. Historically, technological revolutions eventually created a massive, prosperous middle class. The Industrial Revolution created factory managers and logistics coordinators. The Information Age created IT departments, middle management, and administrative armies. Technology used to require human operators, which created millions of high-paying middle-class jobs. But the AI boom is fundamentally different. AI is not just a tool that requires an operator, it is an autonomous agent that replaces the operator entirely. Think about the modern corporate cost structure. A mid-level marketing agency, a regional accounting firm, or a software development house used to employ 50 people to analyze data, write copy, and audit code. Today, a single senior director armed with enterprise AI models and automated workflows can do the work of those 50 people. The company saves millions in payroll, healthcare, and overhead. Their profit margins explode. Their stock price skyrockets. The shareholders on the top leg of the K get exponentially richer. But what happens to the 50 middle-class workers? They are pushed down to the bottom leg of the K, forced to compete in the gig economy, driving for ride-share apps, or fighting for lower-paying service jobs that cannot yet be automated. This is the Cantillon Effect applied to the digital age. The Cantillon Effect is an 18th century economic theory which states that when new money or new value enters the system, it does not distribute evenly. The people closest to the source of the new value, the tech monopolies, the venture capitalists, the early AI adopters, get to capture it before it causes systemic inflation. By the time the benefits trickle down to the wage earner on the bottom leg of the K, the cost of living has already risen to swallow it whole. The AI boom is the closest thing to a wealth printing press we have ever seen for the owners of compute power and proprietary data.
If your only source of income is renting out your time to a company that is actively trying to replace you with an algorithm, you are standing on a trapdoor. Let us break down the exact mathematics of the trap you are in so you can finally see the invisible walls around you. Let us take a hypothetical but highly realistic household making $95,000 a year in 2026. On paper, you are solidly middle class. You did everything right. You got the degree and you got the job. But let us run it through the modern affordability gauntlet. After federal, state, and FICA taxes, you are left with roughly $70,000. Now, subtract the new reality of housing. In many mid-tier American cities, a modest 3-bedroom home now requires a mortgage payment, skyrocketing property taxes, and home insurance premiums that easily consume 40% of your take-home pay.
Add in the cost of owning and insuring a vehicle, which has surged due to complex supply chains and expensive computerized repair costs. Add in groceries, which are permanently 25% higher than they were in 2019. Add in the absolute necessity of high-speed internet, smartphones, and cloud subscriptions just to participate in modern society. By the end of the month, your bank account is hovering near zero. You have no margin. And because you have no margin, you have no capital to invest. You cannot buy the assets that are inflating in value. You are forced to use credit cards to bridge the gap when the transmission dies or the roof leaks. According to the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, American credit card debt has shattered records, surpassing $1.1 trillion, while the personal savings rate has plummeted to historic lows. You are borrowing money at 25% interest to buy depreciating liabilities, while the top leg of the K is borrowing money at 5% to buy cash-flowing assets. It is a mathematical death spiral. This brings us to the psychological toll of the K-shaped economy. It breeds a deep systemic resentment and a phenomenon known as the barbell economy. You look at social media and see your peers taking luxury vacations, buying new cars, and seemingly thriving. But you are witnessing an illusion. The brands that cater to the middle class, the casual dining restaurants, the mid-tier clothing brands, the family sedans, are quietly going bankrupt. Meanwhile, luxury brands and high-end experiential travel companies are reporting record profits, alongside deep discount dollar stores. The middle is being completely hollowed out.
You are either financing a luxury lifestyle through massive consumer debt to keep up appearances, or you are quietly suffering in a state of financial fragility, one unexpected medical bill away from total ruin. So how do you escape? How do you build a bridge from the bottom leg of the K to the top leg? You cannot simply work harder. The top leg is not working harder. They are leveraging systems. To cross the divide, you must execute a radical 4-step paradigm shift. I call this the asymmetric leverage playbook. Step number 1, you must ruthlessly transition your identity from a laborer to a capital allocator. I know what you are thinking. Guru, I do not have $100,000 to invest in real estate or private equity. You do not need it. The beauty of the modern financial system is that the top leg of the K has built vehicles that allow the bottom leg to ride their coattails if you are disciplined enough to use them. You must treat every dollar you save not as savings, but as a seed soldier you are deploying to capture assets. You need to own fractional shares of the very companies that are driving the AI revolution. You need to invest in broad market index funds that capture the earnings of global monopolies. You must look into dividend aristocrats and fractional real estate investment trusts. When the AI boom creates trillions in wealth for the tech giants, you must own a microscopic slice of those giants. If you do not own the robots, you must own the companies that build the robots. This requires a brutal, unforgiving audit of your lifestyle. You must temporarily embrace living like you are on the bottom leg, even if your income allows for more, so you can funnel every spare dollar into acquiring assets that appreciate. You are buying your way onto the top line of the K, one fractional share at a time. Step number 2, you must build AI-proof moats around your human capital. If you are going to rely on a W-2 income to fund your asset accumulation, you must ensure your job cannot be easily automated. AI is incredible at pattern recognition, data synthesis, and average creative output. AI is terrible at high-stakes human negotiation, complex physical problem-solving in unpredictable environments, and deep emotional leadership. If you are a mid-level copywriter, a basic data entry clerk, or a junior coder, you are in the blast zone.
You must pivot your career toward the intersections of human trust and complex logistics. Become the person who manages the AI, not the person competing with it. Learn to prompt, audit, and integrate AI systems into your industry. The people who will command the highest salaries in the next decade are the centaurs, the humans who use AI to do the work of 10 people and capture the premium for the efficiency. By becoming a centaur, you artificially inflate your hourly wage, giving you more ammunition to fire into your investment portfolio. Step number 3, execute geographic and tax arbitrage. The bottom leg of the K is heavily concentrated in high-tax, high-cost-of-living zip codes where the affordability crisis is most severe. The top leg of the K understands that where you live dictates your financial velocity.
If you are paying exorbitant state income taxes and a premium for a mortgage in a Tier 1 city just to sit in traffic and commute to a job you can do remotely, you are voluntarily chaining yourself to the bottom leg. The rise of remote work and the normalization of geographic arbitrage is the greatest wealth transfer loophole available to the middle class. Moving to a tax-friendly state or a region where housing costs are tied to local wages rather than coastal tech money instantly increases your disposable margin. That margin is not for buying a nicer car. That margin is immediately redirected into your asset allocation strategy, specifically utilizing tax-advantaged accounts like HSAs and Roth IRAs to shield your new wealth from the system. Step number 4, adopt the barbell lifestyle strategy. This means being extremely frugal and conservative with depreciating liabilities while being extremely aggressive with appreciating assets. Drive a reliable 5-year-old used car, but max out your investment accounts. Wear unbranded, high-quality basics, but buy fractional shares of commercial real estate. The middle class tries to look rich by buying liabilities on credit. The wealthy look average while quietly buying assets with cash. You must decouple your ego from your consumption. Let me paint a picture of what happens when you execute this playbook. Imagine a couple, David and Elena. They make a combined $120,000. Instead of upgrading to the 4-bedroom house in the premium school district that requires both of their incomes just to service the debt, they buy a modest, slightly older home. They can comfortably afford this on just David's income. Elena's entire income, after taxes, is treated as if it does not exist. It is automatically routed into a diversified portfolio of S&P 500 index funds, dividend growth stocks, and a fractional real estate investment trust. They are living on the bottom leg of the K by choice, but they are secretly funding their escape to the top leg. 5 years pass. The AI boom causes a massive market rally. The assets Elena has been quietly accumulating have compounded, and they are now generating passive cash flow. Meanwhile, their peers who bought the massive houses are stressed, exhausted, and trapped in high-pressure jobs just to make the mortgage payments. When a recession hits or an industry shift eliminates jobs, David and Elena's peers are devastated. But David and Elena have a fortress. Their assets have weathered the storm, and their passive income covers their basic living expenses. They have officially crossed the divide.
They are no longer dependent on the labor market for their survival. They have become the house rather than the gambler. The K-shaped economy is not a conspiracy. It is simply the mathematical reality of a fiat currency system colliding with exponential technology. The system is entirely neutral. It does not care if you win or lose. It only responds to the rules you choose to play by. If you play the game of consumption, trading your time for depreciating liabilities, the system will quietly push you down the bottom leg until you are entirely dependent on debt. But if you play the game of ownership, leveraging technology, guarding your margin, and acquiring assets, the exact same system will pull you up the top leg into financial sovereignty.
The divide is real. The AI accelerant is burning, and the window to position yourself on the right side of this recovery is narrowing as asset prices continue to detach from average wages. You now have the map, you know the trap, and you know the playbook. But knowing is only half the battle.
The very first step of the asymmetric leverage playbook is acquiring your first true cash flowing asset. And most people freeze right at the starting line because they do not know which vehicle to choose. If you want to know exactly how to buy your first income producing asset in 2026, even if you were starting with less than $500, you need to watch this video right here. I break down the exact step-by-step mechanics of building your asset column from scratch. Click the video on your screen and I will see you on the top leg of the K.